Today I'm going to show you how I made this. Take some footage you shot of your friend and make sure you mark down the frame rate. Then drag it into After Effects, right click, Interpret Footage Main, conform it to 23.976 and hit OK. Drag it into a new comp and rename it something you're going to remember. Then find the part you want to use, right click, Trim Comp to Work Area. Find the frame you want the transition to happen, then split the layer. Trim this layer to the part you want to use and drag it on top. Now you want to find the frame you want to print off. So stop on the frame, hit the star key, double click the marker and rename it. Then split this layer on that frame, right click, Time, Freeze Frame, drag the layer out, play it back and you get. Then go back to that frame, Composition, Save Frame As, File. Rename it to something you're going to remember and smash that render button. Then go back to your comp, select everything, right click, pre-compose and give it a name. Then open up that Photoshop file and you can crop it if you want or be ghetto like me and print it out as it is. Save it as a PNG or JPEG, then print this out. Make sure you print a few copies just in case. Tell your model to hold the photo square to the camera, then rip it up. Bang the footage on your computer, check it out, make sure it's golden. Make sure you note down the frame rate you shot this in. Then drag it into After Effects, right click, Interpret Footage, Main, 23.976. Then drag it into your composition underneath the top layer and give it a name. Find the part you want to use, then trim it and drag it underneath the top layer. Drop the opacity of the top layer so you get the timing right, then move the bottom layer around until you get it where you want it to be. Turn off the top layer, select the bottom layer, track motion, perspective, corner pin. Drag these points to each corner of the photo, then analyze forward. Fiddle around with your track to make sure it's good, then turn back on the top layer, edit target, use that layer and hit apply. Play it back and you get. Go to the effects, look for a Bezier warp and slap it onto that layer. Make sure you drag it above the corner pin effect, then batter some keyframes. Move the points to reshape the layer so it matches up with the photo, and then move down the timeline, readjusting the points, keyframing as you go along. Then play it back and you get. Go to the effects, look for Lumetri, then put it onto the top layer. Mess around with the colours and the contrast to make it look like it's more in the scene, then add some keyframes to the effect opacity where you want the transition to take place. Add these in for the bounce, then go up to the effects and do the same thing for a Gaussian blur. Go easy on this value though, you only want to take the edge off. Then play it back and you get. Meh, get in there. Now go to just before she rips the photo up and add to opacity keyframes, drop in the opacity. Duplicate the bottom layer, drag it to the top and then rename it. Then go to the pen tool and add a mask around her fingers. Then add some keyframes, move down the timeline and then animate this mask so that it tracks to her fingers. Then add a feather to help hide your terrible masking skills. Flick the layer on and off to check out your hard work. Find the frame you want the fingers to come down. Transform, position, add a keyframe, move back a few frames and then add another one, moving the layer up. Play it back and you get. Okay, select all, right click, pre-compose, give it a name, make the layer 3D, right click, add a camera and keep these settings exactly the same. Find the frame where you want the transition to take place, then add a keyframe position and then move the camera in so that the photo fills the whole frame. Add motion blur and turn on bicubic sampling if the photo is blurry. Play it back and you get. Right click the bottom layer, time, enable time remapping, then add some keyframes on the parts you want to speed up. Add a keyframe at the end of the clip, then drag these points closer together, adding these in if you want. Slap on a force motion blur, set the samples to 16, play it back and you get. Then music, sound effects and a terrible colour grade later. Link to the full version in description. Bye.